Welcome to The Artistic Process. This is episode 2, The Artist and the Dream, proudly brought to you by Movement Apparel. Combining a love of fashion and dance, this Montreal-based family-owned company creates comfortable, affordable streetwear to help artists feel their best so they can create their best. Inspired by 90s retro style, the colorful unisex gear is natural, eco-friendly, and antibacterial to help eliminate odor and sweat while inspiring dancers to give it their all. A believer in artists supporting artists, Movement Apparel has pledged to donate 5% of their sales to the Fondation des Artistes to help the community as we get through this pandemic together. Please visit movementapparel.ca and use my discount code I am an artist for 15% off at checkout. We will be chatting with the oh-so inspiring Antoine Troupe, choreographer, co-founder of Kreativmndz and the Ignite Tour, most recently the Move as One Global Dance Union Initiative. He is a visionary, a man who believes that you should have no fear, jump right in, and of course, dream big. We are welcoming Antoine Troupe to the podcast today. How you doing, my friend?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited to be here. I'm super excited. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. I am so happy you wanted to come on and kind of speak your mind about so many wonderful things. We have greatness in store for everyone. And obviously, I want to start from the beginning. I would love to hear a little bit about your story. I know you're a self-taught dancer from the Bay Area, a fellow Virgo, just like me.
Yeah,
So I know we good, and you know how you began and how you ended up where you are now, just to give everybody a little bit of insight.
yes. So dance clicked for me, honestly, because it was my escape, just like it was for a lot of
Mm.
us, and the more conversations that I have with a lot of my friends, I'm starting to find that we ran to dance because it was our escape from everything else that was going on around us. And if you look
Mm.
at the history of dance, especially in America, that's what it's always been for us, and that's what kind of, I know we're going to get to talking about Black Lives Matter
Of course.
eventually, but that's a that it all came from that community, and when the slave trade happened and the slaves got here, that's the one language that stayed with them, you know. They
Yes.
lost all their other language and had to adapt and learn English and all this other kind of stuff for the states. But the one thing that I read in an article, the one language that they maintained and kept throughout the years and even till today was dance, which is a beautiful
Mm.
thing, which is a really
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
But yeah, I use it as my therapy. I didn't grow up in a studio. I really didn't even start dancing until I was 14 years old. When I was
Oh
growing up,
wow.
yeah.
18 for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I started kind of late, and I started training myself, and I didn't even
Mm.
think of it as training really. I just wanted so bad to be good, I wanted so bad to feel what the other people felt that I felt like were my heroes in dance, both local dancers that were really dope, or artists like Usher and Omarion and Michael Jackson. I wanted to feel like them because they had this power and this larger than life kind of persona whenever they got on the stage, whenever they danced, whenever they performed. And I feel like I really lacked that in my life. I felt like I was existing, because that's kind of always how I explain it. I feel like I was just existing and I wasn't fully living life, and I didn't even know what was possible. I honestly, when I was young, I had a lot of suicidal thoughts. I was like very depressed, and I just didn't see a purpose. I didn't have hope in living. Whenever I would think about my future, it was just blank. There was nothing. I didn't see
Mm.
what I could be, what I could do, any of it. Um, so, so yeah, I started training in my room, just throwing on a song and just escaping the world, escaping all my problems. And I started to get deeper and deeper into it. My family started to find out that I dance, and started to become that thing that like made me special and made me unique.
Oh
I
wow.
wasn't the jock. I wasn't the cool kid. I didn't have the fly shoes or anything like that. I had danced, and I just started to make that work for me. and slowly but surely, more and more people start to find out. Um, and again, I had a rough time as a kid. My stepdad was really abusive. I had a lot of just
Mm.
home struggles and whatnot. So schoolwork, and I also, you pair that with, also I was very smart, and I get bored really quickly. I'm an obsessive learner, obsessive
Yes.
all day.
Yes, I feel you.
But if I don't feel like I'm learning anything, I get very bored. And
Mm.
that's kind of what happened in school for me. Is I would just felt like I was just being busy. Like it was just like, this is the system, this is how it works, and you're here to basically have us babysit you until school's over.
Oh, yes.
and and yeah, so yeah, that just didn't work well with me when I was young. So I ended up actually dropping out of school, and I was terrified to say the least,
Right?
because I didn't see a future for myself. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't know, like, adulting was just foreign for me. It just wasn't even a thought. Uh,
Right.
like, I mean, like I said, I hardly even wanted to exist beyond that moment that I was in when I was a kid, which is really sad. I know a lot of kids struggle with that today. And just a side note, if that is how you feeling, if that is how you are feeling, life is worth living, and there's an amazing
Mm.
world, and there's an amazing planet, there's amazing people, amazing food to experience, amazing, like, there's so much out there for you to experience. You just have to go out searching for it and looking for it and opening up your mind to it. But and you have to also be open to the idea that you are responsible for your life, and you really have the power. You could take that power into your own hands and change everything, which is exactly what I did. I got to a year, it was 2010, and this is already okay. Let me wrap it up, make a long story short. Dropped out of high school. Dance was all I had. I was like, I need to make this work. I don't even
Mm.
know what's possible, but this is all I got. So let's go. And I
Yeah.
fully committed. And that's a big thing. Whatever you want to do, you have to just decide and jump all the way in. You can't be tiptoeing
Yes.
half in, half out. It'll never work that way. You have to jump in fully. And that's what I did. And year later, I ended up on America's Best Dance Crew.
Ah,
Somehow, somehow I ended up on America's Best Dance Crew. I mean, people saw something in me, and I
yeah.
was asked to be a part of this, like, all-star group. My work ethic was just so crazy. My energy and commitment was so crazy, and I think people respected that. And at that point, I had gotten to a place where I was pretty good. I was pretty good dancing at that point.
I was all
I was all
right.
right. I still was very new. I was still very green to the big scheme of dance, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause most of my training and most of my performing was just in my city, and my training was all at home in my bedroom with my mirror on my wall. So I was an expert at this coronavirus home training situation.
You already got it down.
I know exactly what you need to do. You know,
Nice.
I did it for years. I did it for years. But yeah, so did ABDC, got off of ABD. That was my first LA experience. I learned a lot. I got to be around people who do this. They make a living dancing. Like, I was like amazed and in
What a
awe.
first experience. Straight
That was
to
my
ABDC. Like,
Yeah, that
wow.
was my first experience. I think before that I made a few trips just to take a class or two.
Check it
But
out.
at
See
Debbie
this.
Allen, back when Debbie Allen Dance Academy was like the studio
Oh,
to go
yes,
to.
of course.
Yeah, so yeah, and I was still really shy at that point, so I wasn't like making friends or having conversations. I just was going and staying in my little bubble, taking class, going back home. But I loved it. I loved it though. I thought it was amazing, incredible, and I was inspired by it. But LA gave me a chance. I mean, ABDC gave me a chance to really experience almost like a taste of living in LA and being
Mm.
around dancers and meeting all the people and all that kind of stuff. And I love that part of it, and doing the TV show and all that kind of stuff was really cool. But then once I got off the show, I just trying to no one prepares you for life after a reality show or life after a competition show. It's just kind
No.
of like it's over, and now you have this kind of a little bit of a celebrity, but you're not a celebrity. So it's like
Right, right.
awkward. It's like I felt weird which I don't think anybody should, but I just felt weird going back to like a normal job, after
Well,
that.
yeah.
So I felt like people would think I would like fail. Like, oh, weren't you the guy from the TV show? Like, why are you working at blah, blah, blah? Why are
Well,
you at,
something that people don't understand about dancers is we're technically in a constant state of unemployment. You do go from one gig to a break to another gig to a break, but you're right. No
exactly.
one ever says how that's going to feel when you're done the big thing?
Exactly. And it was a shock. It just was like, okay. It was almost like that dropping out of high school thing again. It was like,
Mm.
okay, now what do I do? Because I just went from super high and spent all this time on TV. Now who am I outside of that? What beyond that,
Right.
And we had our run of performing with the crew. The crew was called Supreme Soul.
I
We did
remember.
yes, yes. But after Supreme Soul was not my crew, so it was like more of an all-star team from the Bay Area.
Right.
But when I got off the show, I wanted to make it with my crew, people that I kind of was closer to, and I wanted to go about it my own way, all that kind of stuff. But um, that wasn't really working out. The crew I was with just didn't want it like I wanted it, and everybody on Supreme Soul, after we did our run of doing shows and touring a little bit, they all wanted to go back to their life and doing what they were doing before the show. And 2010, it was 2010 or 11, I think it was 2010, was just a really rock bottom year for me. All my crews had broken up. I was like in the hole for money because of like some traffic violations, tickets or whatever that set me back. And I had just broken up with this girl, and I had this falling out with a pastor from my church that I was close
So
with.
all the things, all of
All
the
the
things.
things everything that would like could go wrong was going wrong. And it put me, and it's funny, like I'm a firm believer in God, and uh it's funny that like that's sometimes how he works, or whatever you believe in works. Sometimes you got to sit down for a moment. Everything has to All the distractions have to be removed from your life so that you can sit and really see things clearly and see where you should be going, because sometimes you just get so caught up in being in the moment and being busy and your idea of what needs to happen next, and just in the moment and not thinking big picture. It's sitting us down to reflect on a lot of different things within ourselves, within our communities, our families, and our countries, and even the planet itself. We've all been sat down, and a lot of things are becoming really clear to us, and that's why things again like the this Black Lives Matter movement is happening. Like if coronavirus wouldn't have happened, I don't think it would be as powerful as the movement has been, because this has happened many times before. But I think there's just a series of events that have set us up for an unfortunate perfect scenario for change to happen. You know, um, so yeah, I'll go off on a tangent forever on that, but yeah, so that's kind of how it happened. And once I had that rock bottom year, I decided, okay, I'm moving to LA. I know there's a lot more I want to do with my career, and it can't happen from the Bay Area. And
Mm,
I decided I'm moving to LA. I'm going to study as many successful people that I know of, that I look up to. I just want to find out like what separates people who are talented from the ones who are not, and that end up being successful, because somebody may be just as good. There may be another actor just as good as Will Smith, but has not had the success he has. And why is
right.
that? You know?
Right.
So that's when self development became a big thing for me. And I really started diving into that. And success leaves clues. So you start studying successful people, and you start realizing they all kind of say a lot of the same things,
Mm,
and you take all of those things. Those are the clues to success that'll lead you to success, and you take those clues and you kind of apply them to yourself. Like, how do these things apply to me? Like, what does that look like for me? How can I apply a lot of these habits and mindsets to myself to get me to where I want to go? And that's what I did. And I studied and for a year put myself out there, and then moved to LA and applied all those things I've been reading and studying about, and it just compounded from there. Like year after year, things just started taking off for me because I was taking action on everything that I learned. There's a lot of people that learn a lot, but then all they do is learn, and they'll study and take notes, and they'll plan and they'll analyze, but they never actually take action. They
Right.
never they never make the dive, make the jump, take the leap, And I simply just decided to take the leap and take a chance, cuz remember, I had hit rock bottom, so I had nothing to lose. I just
Yeah,
was like,
nowhere to go but up. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And that's all I did, and that over the last 8 years, my life has completely changed from being that 14-year-old that was scared of the world, that was depressed, that was didn't have hope, all that kind of stuff. Now it's like I wake up I went from you when I was a kid, I literally used to pray that I would not wake up in the morning. I
Oh
literally
my
that was my prayer,
goodness.
So to go from that kid to now being who I am now, it's like I don't even want to go to sleep because I'm so excited about everything that I have going on, everything that I'm working on. And it's like as soon as I wake up in the morning, I got a million thoughts and I got to get in my journal and write it all down and map it all out. You know, being excited and grateful and happy and feeling like I have such abundance and there's an infinite supply of whatever I need in the world. I went from feeling like there was nothing for me to feeling like there's everything available to me. And
Wow.
I really feel like anybody can get there. It just takes work, and that's really it is really all it is. I put in the work to create and design who I am and the life that I'm living. It's taken a whole lot. People would never like what they see online is like 20% of what I'm doing every single day
Right.
to become the person I want to be. So that's it. 15 minutes of my story.
I love it. I love it so much. No, but I appreciate you diving so deep because I think that there are so many young artists, young humans even, that are going to resonate with this. And I think that it is common in the creative field to feel that high and that low, and the depression and the wondering about the future, and not understanding where, the salvation might come from. And by you talking about your journey, I think a lot of people are going to be able to pull different aspects of that out and have it kind of resonate with them and understand that it is possible for them to reach that higher point if they put in the work. You spent the beginning of all of your, self-training dance career looking up to these different artists, but now you've got all these dancers looking up to you. And I
Mm,
think that that's such an amazing, kind of turn of events. You yourself have developed your own unique style, and you've let people know how important it is to brand yourself as a dancer. And two of your main principles, which you actually talked about in your journey, is about having vision and about being persistent.
yes.
And that seems to be something based on kind of trial and error for you. And I love that you tell your students you need to have a vision, but you need to also put in the work. So
Hmm.
those are your two main, principles that came about kind of through experience, or from the get, did you kind of say, this is where I stand?
Yeah, I mean, it was a total reprogramming of my mind, like total.
Reprogramming. Wow. Okay.
Like well, that's because I had some bad programming based off of what was available to me, the information that was available to me,
Mm.
the people I was around, all that kind of stuff. They didn't have the information that I needed to be successful. I mean, I'm gonna put it like this: my mom had me. I was a happy accident, I will say.
Okay.
My mom had me when she was only 13 years old.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, this was from her very first sexual experience. And I happened to be a product of that. I wasn't in the cards. And, so think about that. I was being raised by a 13-year-old. Mind you,
Wow.
she has bigger brothers and sisters and her mom and all that kind of stuff. And collectively, they kind of raised me. But for the most part, it was mostly, my mom, obviously, raising me. So I was being raised by, it was a kid raising a kid. She didn't have a chance to see her dreams play out. Her life, she didn't own a business. She didn't, so she couldn't give that information to me because she never got a chance to experience it, you
And
know?
she's still learning as you're growing and learning.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. everything was shut down, man. Like I feel it really like hurts my heart to even like think about it because like I want her to live her dreams, so badly.
Mm,
And she had to sacrifice all of her youth to raise me and my other siblings. So I want so badly to be able. That's and you got to have something that's driving you, something that's powerful that's driving you. Like, what is your why? Why are you doing this?
yeah.
It has to be bigger than just you. I have little brothers and sisters looking up to me. I have my mom that I feel like not that I owe, but yeah, actually, I feel like I owe it to her. Everything that she sacrificed, everything that she taught us, everything she gave to us, um, to be able to put food on the table, to get us to where we wanted to go, for us to see our dreams come true. She sacrificed so much, and she struggled, man. Like I watched my mom struggle and cry many times because she couldn't afford this and couldn't afford that, and wanted better for us and wanted more for us, and she just couldn't do it, and um so I learned a lot from that. My mom she's inspired me so much in so many ways. I think she's taught me how to be an amazing person, how to persevere, how to fight. But at the same time, I've also learned from her mistakes, and I want to be that dream for her.
Mm,
She didn't get a chance to live it. I want to live that for her, and then once I do get to where I want to be able to give back to her. I want to be a multimillionaire. And be able to take care of the people around me, take care of my family, take care of my community. So that's why I go so hard. I'm not afraid to put the pressure and the challenges on my back, um, be and see it through because I've committed everything in me to making that happen. And I'm just not afraid. At this point, I've done so much work on myself, my mindset, my mentality, and I've learned so much. And I'm just not afraid. And the things that I am kind of afraid of, I'm still willing to keep my feet moving forward and just do it anyways. And if I don't see anybody else that's willing to step up and take the charge and do what needs to be done, I'm fine with, okay, I'll be the one.
mm.
And that's just kind of been that's where my heart is, and that's kind of what it's been for me with building KM and everything we started, and even with this MA1 or all my projects. It's always been like, okay, what's missing in the community, what's missing in the world, and yeah, okay, if no one else is going to do it, I don't see that it exists already. All right, I'll step up and I'll do whatever is necessary to make that happen.
I see that in you. I see your love for the community and your transference of everything that you've taken from when you are younger, whether it was good or bad. And I resonate with this idea that you put forward of wrong programming because as we're growing up, we don't really have a choice of our surroundings. We don't have a choice of those experiences. We were born into it, and that's what it is. But whatever you learn, you can unlearn. And I feel like, especially at a time
Yeah.
like now, this pandemic and us finally, giving the right push forward to the Black Lives Matter movement, whatever you learn, you can unlearn. And that is such a major step. And I see with you
Mm.
why you love new projects so much, why you love new challenges so much, because you don't accept mediocrity in yourself and the people around you. And you don't want to accept that either from the dance community. You're about fully committing to, that purpose. And I want to have you kind of give us a little more insight actually on Creative Minds and your Ignite tour.
Yes. Yeah. So Creative Minds was originally a vision by my boy Kalani Marks, business partner
Yeah.
Kalani. Yeah. Uh, yeah, from Seattle, and it's gone through many changes, and it's altered since he started it, and it's become something totally new. But it started with him bringing a few of us together.
Nice.
Originally, it was going to just be like a collective of choreographers that he believed in, his friends, and we were going to just support each other and do events together and all that kind of stuff. Be collaborative, um, and it just kept
Have that
evolving.
circle. Have that circle.
Exactly, exactly, and it just kept evolving. Even at one point, it was like, okay, we're gonna do a magazine, um, and really highlight and shine a light on different choreographers in the community and tell the story of the community and what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And eventually, what started happening is me and Kalani, after I had moved to LA, me and Co actually hired me on a tour, which gave me the funds. So again, going back to having vision, I had set that vision. I wanted to move
Yes.
maybe like a year and a half. At 2010, at the end of 2010, I decided I was going to change everything. I was going to give myself a year, put myself out there, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to move the summer after. So, not in 2011, but 2012. I was like, I'm going to move 2012 during the summer to LA. So, during that year and a half, I took action, blah, 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 blah. Kalani ends up hiring me. So, it's pretty crazy when you set a vision. Sometimes you don't know how it's going to work out, but you just envision it and you just take action and keep your feet moving, and things will,
Yes.
the universe will put things into play. Um,
Mm.
so Kalani booked a tour. He was choreographing, and this tour was going to be for the summer that I was supposed to move. And he already had 4 dancers hired, but there was a falling out with those dancers. There was something went wrong with like management, the paperwork, and blah blah blah, whatever.
Story of
So
our lives.
right. So those 4 dancers ended up quitting. So they had to hire a whole new group of dancers. And Kalani and I had reached out to Kalani. I was building a relationship with Kalani the whole time. He ends up reaching out to me and was like, "Yo, we have this spot open. Can you do it? Would you be down to do it?" Sure enough, I said yes, and I went off to LA, would stay with a friend for 2 weeks, learned the whole tour in 2 weeks,
Woo!
went on tour. Yeah, it was crazy. It was intense. Learned the whole tour, 2 weeks, go off on tour. I spend a few months, I spend the summer touring. I save all of that money and I move right after the tour. So right on time, like around the time I was supposed to move, I end up moving to LA.
Wow.
And then, okay, where was I going with that? Where was I just trying to circle back to? Oh, Creative Mind.
Creative minds,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Kalani, after I moved to LA, Kalani starts making trips to LA, and we would link and we would just get people together for free and do like a free training, just this intense training with that was like invite only, so you could kind of curate the energy, curate the kind of vibe that's in there. Um, and we've always found there's something special about that, and that kind of idea is what we built off of, built our whole the whole concept behind Creative Minds Dance Academy was built off of that. You get the right people in the right room with the right teachers, and that's when something special begins to happen. That's when change really begins to happen, and
You're absolutely right.
we go
Hmm.
beyond the movement. We dive
Right.
deeper. We dive deeper than that. I think a lot of people, whenever they start a business, sometimes they want to go so wide. They want to do all these millions of things and they want to connect with all these millions of people. And I think it's better to get a smaller community together and go deeper with that small community than going wide and surface level with a huge community.
Quality over quantity. I remember coming to KM and I messaged Kalani and he wasn't in town, but I took Calvet's class and just the
Yeah,
energy and that dynamic of the space. You can tell when something is represented by the right people. You can
yeah,
tell. It makes a difference when you walk into a space and when you know that they care about what's happening inside of it, and they, like you said, you have the right staff and the right teachers. I'm very fortunate at my studio that I have that team, like I was saying, that circle, because if you share that vision like you were talking about, it really, really, really makes a huge difference. And did that kind of also inspire you to create this Ignite tour and want to take that, those principles and bring them elsewhere besides just LA?
exactly. So Ignite was
Mm,
kind of created to give a weekend experience of KM, but
nice.
wherever you are, you know?
Yes.
And we started in Canada because one, the US is oversaturated with the conventions. It's like a ridiculous
Yeah.
conventions here. And also, we just have found that when we go abroad, it's just more appreciated. Like our vibe, our style is kind of more appreciated. We have a lot of support in the U.S. and there's a lot of obviously like most of our members are from the U.S. But I think it's kind of like a 50-50 or 60-40 because it's really about getting the right people, and people that are from overseas tend to not have as many opportunities to get in the space with these people. So they just
Yes.
appreciate it and respect it a lot more. Also, because of the history of our culture, like hip hop culture, like people overseas were more so the ones to fly out the pioneers of hip hop to come and
Yeah.
teach and train. So they always cared more about the roots, the foundation, the real culture of it, because also, like, if you're not from here, there's a lot more you need to do to kind of be respected and accepted into the culture because you're not from the States. You know what I
Right.
mean? So those people just, they were more about it than Americans that just kind of like took it for granted. But also, the media always shined a certain light on hip hop and in the Black community. So it was very hard for us to get in the studios, but the overseas studios were more welcoming, from my understanding.
Oh, that's
So
so interesting.
yeah, so that kind of shifts things, right? Um,
Yeah.
so so you still see that today, where foundation is more respected outside of the states. The core of the culture is more accepted outside of the states.
Hmm.
So yeah, I went off on another tangent. Now I don't even know where we were supposed to go.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. You got all those amazing things in there. How did you feel about the talent in Canada or in Montreal? Like just curious.
Yo, I love it. It every time we've gone up there to do it, it's so special. It's so well received. It's such a dope, hungry community up there, and talented dancers as well. Such it's ridiculous the amount of talent that's there, and you see that in LA. There's so many Canadian dancers that come down here and do really well. So my thing is, people feel like, oh, if I'm not from the states, that's what's holding me back. But I actually feel like there's so much more opportunity being not from here, just because the psychology and the culture of it is different. I think Americans are can tend to be a little bit more spoiled and entitled because it's so easy to access all of this. So they don't appreciate it as much as far as what we've seen. So yeah, like, take advantage of the culture and the community that's up there, and if you do feel like it's harder for you, I think that's a superpower. And that was my superpower in the beginning, is the lack of resources and the fight that I had to put in to get anywhere. And the sooner you accept that and take on the challenge, the better it gets for you. And I think that's the same thing with coronavirus. If you just accept that, okay, this is a challenge, I understand that, and maybe it set me back in certain areas, but where's the opportunity? And
Yeah.
if I decide to change, if I decide to fight, if I decide to make allow this time in history to make me better, if I make that decision, that's when everything starts to change. But the more you try to resist and fight it, and throw a pity party for yourself, and why is this not working, and why did this happen, and why me, like, that's only going to hold you back. And honestly, at this point, with something like this, you can't say why me, because it's why everyone. It's happening to
Yeah,
all.
literally everyone.
Yeah, get up off the floor, dust your shoulders off, and keep moving.
No, it's so very true, and you've brought up so many good points about being able to kind of push forward and then also appreciate the opportunities when they come up, because now with this pandemic, we are able to kind of take classes from people we would never get the opportunity to take classes from, and
Mhm.
having endurance and being able to endure as part of your mantra. What has kind of shifted for you in the pandemic, and what advice could you please give to dancers who feel like perhaps their growth has been stunted a bit at this time?
Hmm. I would say this is the best time to learn.
Mm.
It's the best time to work on yourself. I honestly feel like people were overtraining before this happened. They were taking too much
Ah,
class and not spending enough time with themselves and working on their own movement. And
yeah.
what's my approach? What's my character? What feels good on my body? This is the perfect time to really understand, who am I on all levels? Who am I as a mover? Who am I as a person? Who am I as a brand? What do I want my legacy to be? Like, who am I? So I think this is the best time to grow. Honestly, like I've been freestyling a lot. I've been doing yoga. I've been meditating. I've been working out, and those things. And since I've taken a step back from choreography, I feel like my dancing, who I am as a dancer, has gotten so much better. Like it's leveled up like crazy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So now, if you compare that with choreography once we get back to taking the classes and balance it a little bit more, I feel like people are going to grow a lot faster. And that's kind of like the idea behind our online training that we're working on. Is it we're really putting together like the ultimate home training app, and not choreo based. We're going to leave that to the studios. Let the studios hold that down. It's going to be like, what do you need to be what are you already doing at home, and how can this app guide you to do it better and put you in the space with the people who really do what you're doing at home or what you should be doing at home, but great. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm,
So that
yeah.
that's something we're really excited about, and I feel like it's going to be a game changer through everything that we've learned from training dancers and training myself and studying and research. We really feel like we've put together the perfect home training app, and we'll release more info about that soon. But that's kind of the idea that it comes off of. What should you be doing at home, and how could you like really fine tune that to do it at a level that that will make crazy amazing results for you and pretty quickly.
You are just taking on all avenues of all projects. I absolutely adore it. Like I could just see you waking up in the middle of the night and like running over, like you said, to the journal and writing all these great ideas down, and then like, who
Yeah,
do I call at 4
that one
a.m.
that
because I
one's the
have an
main.
idea?
Yeah, that one's my main project. Just to give you a little bit more context, that one is
Yeah.
like the one I'm like really working on every single day and really focused on. Everything else is something I feel like needs to happen, and I'm getting it started, and I'm putting the right team around it to keep it going to where I can more so play more of a consultant role and consult and say this is where we should go next, or we could do it like this, and then have teams in place to really make sure things keep moving and allow me to have space to focus on my thing that I really am passionate about and feel like I can make a lot of impact in.
I think that's key and important, delegation to the right people so that all facets of this idea can truly work. And is that, kind of your concept with Move as One, like how that came to be, its purpose, hopes for the future? Is that, kind of where that grounding came from as well?
Yeah, I think, man, if anything, I want to show our community that we got to stop talking and we just got to be about action. Anything that I'm creating, it's I don't even think I was the first person to have these ideas. I think I'm just the one to actually act on it, and that's what I'm trying to be. That's what I'm trying to do and lead by example by showing like amazing things can happen if you actually take those ideas and get it started and get other people involved, and it can be collaborative and you don't have to do it on your own, you know. So that's kind of, yeah, that's pretty much what has happened with MA1. Is I was having all these conversations with people with different leaders from all over the world, and Beyonce's choreographer Jaquel Knight, and
Yeah.
Rihanna's choreographer Paris Goebel, and Nick Demora, Bieber's choreographer, and all these different leaders from all over, and everyone wants to do something, but either doesn't know what to do, or they've gotten started, but it's more so local. So I just figured, okay, we're all trying to do something. Let's all come together. Let's bring it all to one place. The first thing is we all got to get in the same space,
Mm.
and then we can go from there. We can lead everybody from there. But let's all come together collectively and decide as a community what needs to happen. What I think there needs to be a lot of like education reform within our community. There needs to be more history. People need to know who started this, how did it start, where did this all come from? Because a lot of people that have gotten, that have hopped on the train have kind of they've learned it from the social media and TikTok and what they're seeing online, and they're thinking that's it. But how did it all start? I think
Mm.
that needs to happen. But actually, I'm going to share with you kind of the mission statement or the why that I've concocted for
I
MA1.
would
And
love that.
I want to get your opinion. I want to tell me if
Let's
this is
do
clear.
this.
Clear to you. So I wrote uniting the dance community to mobilize them on bettering our own communities as well as the world at large.
Mm,
How does that sound? What
that
does
sounds
that
real
bring?
nice. You heard it here first, folks.
Yes.
It's so good. I think it's so important. I think you cannot evoke any type of major change unless we're literally all standing together.
Yeah.
And the dance community has a massive voice. You and I were discussing prior to this how it's artists holding the world up. It's artists saving, our freedoms at this point. It really is so key and so important for the dance community to come together for multiple reasons, right?
Mhm.
It's
Yes. It's
not
so
it's not just dance, the if you think back, when you were younger, you remember the stuff your dance teacher said to you. You remember the moments where you felt empowered on stage. You learned to be more confident. You
yes.
probably ended up with some of the best friends you'll ever have. The dance community has such a major ability to impact change. It really, really does. And if you're going to
Absolutely.
start a movement like this and have a mission statement like that, I really, really think it's going to do a lot of worldly good.
Yes, I agree. And that I think that has always been kind of like a hole in my heart for me when it comes to the dance community is we're super powerful and we have such an impact on the world, but it's very like passive. It's not like we're directly having an impact, like we're trying to do that. And most of it, the actual impact that we're having tends to just be within our own community, like with each other,
Mm,
and which is fine, like I love teaching dancers. I love helping dancers, mentoring dancers, but it's always just been dancers, and that information and all of that just circulates within just our community. And I feel like we can have a bigger impact on people just in general that don't dance. There's a lot of people, like obviously so many of us have these large followings. It's not all dancers that are following us. We
right.
have this attention, we have this influence. So what are we going to do with it? How are we going to better the world because of dance and because of what we're doing with our art? That's kind of like my perspective on it. Like when we look back when people look back in 50 years or 100 years, what are they going to say the dance community did in 2020 to impact Black Lives Matter? What are they going to
Ah,
say we did to uh, resolve the water crisis or climate
yeah,
change
save the
or
planet, climate
yeah,
change. Yeah.
homelessness? Like, what are we doing as a community to have an impact on these things? And I really think that we can. I think we have to use our influence on more than just gaining more influence or gaining more
Agreed.
attention or
Gaining more followers. Yeah, no, I
yeah,
agree.
other than gaining more followers. There's more that we can do, and that's kind of what the idea behind MA1 is what there's more that we can do, and if we come together and really start communicating, what does that look like? Where do we want to have the most impact on the world? Because yes, we're dancers, but we're humans first. We just all
Yes.
we all happen to connect through dance. That is where that's our world that we decide to tap into. Now how do we
Yes.
take that and come together and say, hey, this is something that we feel like needs to change in the world. We're going to start with changing it within our own community, but we're also going to use our influence to spread awareness or to raise funds or like somehow come together and establish some kind of system reform in these different areas. I feel like there's a whole lot that we can do, and I'm excited to start getting that done.
Oh my goodness. Also, we just became best friends because my motto is first. I knew we were good with the Virgo thing, but now it's on a whole other level. And part of why I called the podcast The Artistic Process with the emphasis on the word artist is because as we are continuously working on our craft, we are continuously working on ourselves. And the way that you've described what you want to do is work on ourselves, like put that forth into the dance community and put that forth into the world. Everybody has different alleys, different lanes, different ways to fight. And I think when you refer to dancers, maybe having a bit more of a passive impact in the past is because we're so vulnerable about our art.
Hmm.
And we are kind of, oh, I wonder if anyone's going to like it. Oh, I wonder if I post this if it's going to get enough views. Oh, I hope they're going to clap while I'm on stage and stuff like that. But maybe it's understanding we have a different responsibility as artists. It's to use what we love, what we're passionate about, what we're constantly working on to literally make change and to help the world. That could be our voice, our lane, our responsibility.
I mean, imagine how beautiful that would be.
I
Imagine how
know.
beautiful it would be for the world to be like, do you see what's happening with the dance community? Like, do you see
Oh,
they're changing the world? These artists, these people who always get overlooked, who the people consider the bottom of the totem pole, are having
underpaid.
massive impact, underpaid, all of it. We're changing the world. So if us, the bottom of the totem pole, quotation marks, which I don't believe
Yeah.
in at all, if we can
No.
come together and do something amazing in the world, I think that'll inspire so many other people in so many other industries. Like, okay, what can we do together if we come together? If the music industry, not just in the US, if musicians from all over the planet come together, what can we do to
Mm,
impact the world? If I don't, all the art forms or the athletes or whatever, I think
yes.
I think we can have a huge, huge impact. And a lot of things I think we can solve just through our own communities and not have to go to the government and ask them, can you fix this for us? We can just fix it ourselves.
Oh, wouldn't that be the absolute greatest? I mean, look at what artists did during the pandemic. We stepped up first.
Right.
People were offering free concerts and free outside shows for the elderly and selling paintings for fundraisers and doing all these things. Artists stepped up, you know what I mean? And it was such a beautiful thing to see. Of course, everybody working during the pandemic at the grocery stores and the pharmacies and our frontline workers and our doctors, everybody's super key and super important. But like you
Absolutely.
said, the people that are considered to be at the bottom of the totem pole all of a sudden said, you know what, we're going to give this because I think our world needs a little bit of hope. And
Yeah.
let's keep going on that. Let's keep moving forward as artists and doing these wonderful things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have so much power. We just have to open our eyes to it. And
Oh, I
and that
love that.
we can't get too caught up on the self. Like, what am I getting out of dance? What am I getting out of my career? What am I getting from this person, from blah 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 blah? I
Mm.
think we have to start thinking, what can I give? What can I give to my community? What can I give to my studio? What can I give to the dance community? And then what can I give to the entire world? Being a part of this dance community. I think I'm starting to. I posted something about, like, dream bigger, dream further. I think
Yeah.
you have to dream big and know that anything is possible, but I think also we have to start dreaming further. I've always looked at like 10 years ahead, and now I'm like, that's not enough. I need to think 100, 200, 300, 400 years ahead. How am I making an impact on those people? Because 400 years ago, there were things that happened that still affect us today. There were people who did X, Y, and Z that we still see the either negative or positive effects of. So what I'm doing, what you're doing, will have an impact in one way or another on people 400 years from now. So that's kind
Wow.
of that's kind of where I am. And I want to do as much as I can to kind of set the foundation for some incredible, amazing things in all aspects within our community.
That is just incredible. And do you have any, I would say, specific hopes for artists when it comes to what it is that we, could and should be doing during this Black Lives Matter movement?
Yes, I actually, if you go on the Move as One page,
Yes.
and go to the website, there's resources from me and Links Talk. for Black Lives Matter, and literally there's a if you click the link, it's going to give you everything: petitions you can sign, different places you can send your money for different causes. It literally everything, every resource you can imagine is on there, so people can just go on there and decide how they want to have their impact.
Oh, I like that because individual lanes, individual voices, we fight from what we understand so they can you're giving them all these things that they can look into and they're going to choose, what makes the most sense for them because every little bit helps, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And maybe everybody has a different idea of what they think will be impactful, and you have an option to do whatever you want to do.
I love that. I love that. Before I send you off, which I really don't want to, I feel like I could keep talking to you for forever and
Absolutely.
ever, but I don't know if people would stay tuned in. But before I let you go, is there anything else you would love to share with everyone? Final words of advice, any type of sentiment you would like to leave us with?
Yeah, it's possible. Whatever you have in your
Oh,
head, whatever you're envisioning, whatever dream you have, it is possible. And if you didn't believe it before coronavirus and Black Lives Matter and the UFOs and the blah 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 blah, all this other stuff that we never thought would happen, it's shown us that anything is possible. Anything is possible. So whatever you want to do, I know it's oversaid, but it that thing that you're thinking of right now as I'm speaking and it's coming to your head and you know that you have to see it happen, it's possible.
I absolutely love that. And I absolutely love you. I thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Myself, Giulia Tripoli, along with the Dance Plug, are proud to announce our partnership with Move as One as part of the Key Media Outlets team. As we learn new ways to develop our own voices, as we continue to visualize and put in the work, and as we start to understand our responsibility as artists, just remember that no matter where you are, it's all part of the process.